guys, Tivo2 here, back for another episode of my TARDIS tutorial. You can probably already see the feature on the side of the screen. What we're making today is basically just a coordinate indicator for the TARDIS. Now this isn't actually the feature itself, it isn't just going to be on the side of the screen like this. It is going to be ultimately a feature of your TARDIS monitor. Whatever system you have, you will be able to implement this just like so and be able to display current coordinates just like this. Obviously it'll change no matter where you go, so if I went outside and just tried to move the TARDIS, you can see it will change like so. 3, 2, 1. Check it out. The coordinates have updated. So yeah, these are basically up to date up to about a 20th of a second. So right away, let's get into how this works. You are going to need a scoreboard, obviously. And so what you're going to do is scoreboard, objectives, add coords or coordinates or whatever you want to call it. And then as for the criteria, you're just going to say dummy. And then display name, you can do really whatever, but I did coords, so just do that in parentheses like so, and that'll make the scoreboard. There won't be anything on it obviously yet, but that is where these three command blocks come in. These are getting the X, Y, and Z respectively of the TARDIS. So here's what the command itself is doing. Execute as at E tag equals TARDIS or name equals TARDIS. Store result, so it's storing a result of a command in the scoreboard, so store result score. The player in question is going to be X. Obviously on the scoreboard we have X, Y, and Z. And then what scoreboard objective obviously is coords, just like so. And then what is the command that we are storing the result of in there? It is run data get entity at E tag equals TARDIS limit equals 1. Pause, which is short for position, 0, which is obviously in square brackets. So the pause 0 is going to gather the X coordinate. And then obviously, as stated earlier, it's going to store that result in the scoreboard under the X fake player. So you can see on the side there, in the coords scoreboard, the X fake player, we have stored the TARDIS's X coordinates. And obviously because this is repeat and always active, it's going to be constantly updating. We're going to do the exact same thing with Y and Z. So for Y and Z, it's basically the same, except Y is pause 1 and Z is pause 2. And obviously you're changing this section for the fake player, would be Z and Y for the Y. So yeah, X, Y, Z, you're just changing what fake player is being targeted and changing which position variable is being tested for. But otherwise, they're basically the exact same command. And you should now have on your coords scoreboard the three coordinates being displayed. Now, if you want to display these on something like a monitor, you could come and make a tell raw command. So in this case, you can see if we click this, it'll tell us current coordinates and it'll just display those as such. Now, if we come into this command, it's honestly an extremely long command, so I am going to just click done so that we can see it all at once. So obviously this is a tell raw command, targeting at A, tag equals pilot, and tag equals inside. And then what are we doing? We need to open up a square bracket, and this entire thing is contained within the square brackets. See, this is that same one, it ends all the way over here. So everything here is inside the square bracket. And then basically what we're doing inside is opening and closing sets of curly brackets. And obviously we'd have commas in between each one. So the first one is text, which of course is in parentheses. Pretty much everything in here is going to be in parentheses. So we start with text, colon, and then this is also in parentheses on the other side, which is current coordinates, colon, and then a space. And the space is why there's the huge empty space here, but it's just one space, trust me. And then you just do end the parentheses and close that first set of curly brackets. And then a comma. Now we're opening our second set of curly brackets where we're gathering the actual scores themselves. So in this case, it would be score, colon, open curly brackets. And then what are we gathering? We're gathering the name of the fake player, which the first one's going to be X, comma, objective, which obviously is coords. And then closing the curly brackets, putting a comma. We can then assign a color to this, which I've done aqua. So you can see up here we have current coordinates. We haven't assigned a color to this, so it's just white. We have, of course, our colon and our space. And then here we have the actual coordinate itself, which obviously is in aqua. And then we are going to need to put something to make this comma and this space, because that isn't going to be automatically added. What we're going to need to do is close that curly bracket, put a comma, open a new one, and this one is called text, colon, and then in our parentheses we're going to have a comma and a space. And then obviously our color is aqua. So yeah, that adds this comma and this space just so that the coordinates aren't all jumbled together. Now after that, we're obviously going to go and grab our next coordinate, which is Y. Now obviously this is exactly the same thing as here, just gathering the scoreboard value as such, so just score, name Y, objective chords, and color aqua. And then we're doing the exact same thing again, where our next section is again putting a comma and a space. And then finally, we are collecting the Z coordinate in the same way as the other two, just like so. And at the very end of this, like I said at the beginning, you are going to need to put the end of the square bracket, which basically just contains all of this as such. So yeah, that's how you do the tell raw, which, as I said, just does current coordinates and then grabs each coordinate with one of these comma and space in between. So yeah, you can obviously implement that into whatever monitor system you have, or you could even just leave it at the side of the screen if you're okay with that as well. And as I said, these three are obviously just gathering the position data of the TARDIS and placing it into our scoreboard. That was my tutorial on how to make a coordinate display for your TARDIS. Hope you all enjoyed. I've been Tebow2. Be sure to subscribe, to follow my Instagram, Tebow2at, to follow my Twitter, which is also Tebow2at, to join my Discord, and lastly, to have a nice day. Goodbye.